I'm Angela Scappatura from Canadian HR Reporter TV. Today's guest is Ratna Omidvar. She's the chair of the Toronto Region Immigrant Employment Council. She spoke with us about diversity in the workplace and how it affects business. How should companies go about creating a culture of diversity in their workplace?
I think the common mistake that employers, along with others, make is they stay at the aspirational level and they don't follow it up with action. Aspiration's easy. It's easy to talk about things. It's much harder to actually follow through with action. The concrete action is, how are we going to reach new talent? And because business works, or one business works in a certain way, it's hard for them to break that mode. So, for example, when you're recruiting, you're looking out for talent, business tends to advertise in known places. Well, a diversity strategy must include new places for advertising. That's something a business has to do. It must include new ways of developing in-house talent that may already be there. And it must include a notion of accountability. So these are the three areas I believe that business needs to be bottom line business-like about. Follow up the aspiration with the action. Try out a few things that work. Learn from others. There is a lot of incredibly good ideas. And on the web, these are easy to access. Go to hireimmigrants.ca, where a number of businesses have put forward good ideas that they are using for recruiting skilled immigrants, for example, as one portion of the diverse community. There are organizations that are working with community agencies, there are organizations that are providing internships, there are organizations that are approaching language training differently, there are organizations that are interviewing differently. These are core aspects of a business plan to recruit in a different way.
What are some of the common mistakes that employers make when trying to implement a diversity plan?
I think the challenges that employers face when bringing forth a business plan is getting buy-in, and getting buy-in from hiring managers. In large organizations, hiring managers have to be brought on side. And I go back to, leadership. It has to come from the top. I'll give you an example. Gord Nixon of the Royal Bank, one of Canada's most respected organizations, has made diversity his mantra. The only non-executive committee that he sits on is the diversity committee. That ethos has seeped through the organization in many, many ways. They're hiring differently, they're posting differently, they're embracing new talent, they're developing new products, and a broadening customer base as a result of these products. So the challenge is getting the work done on the ground by people who are charged with making the change, giving them the tools, giving them the opportunities, giving them the resources. Hiring managers may well say, there is a terrific person I'd like to bring on, but they do not have X, Y, and Z. If that X, Y, and Z is, let's say, an important competency, but not the most important competency, then what can you do to mitigate? Can you do some training? Can you bring in a mentor? Can you do some qualifications renewal and stuff like that? So there are lots of things that organizations can do. In addition, I would say that the biggest challenge is changing the way you approach hiring. Because everybody hires in a certain way. There is an old saying, you hire in your own image. You like the people who behave like you, who look like you. And these are all barriers, You tend to relate on a personal level to people who've been to the same kind of schools, the same kind of universities, played the same kind of sports. And so I think hiring managers in particular will need a whole new set of tools and a whole new set of technologies to help them hire and interview differently. And it means doing the difficult stuff, coming coming to terms with your own biases. We all have our own biases. You know, I'm a short person. I like short people. We all have our own biases, and coming to terms with those and recognizing the bias for what it is really important. There are lots of resources out there to help employers get over this first initial barrier.